everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm sorry that I've been gone so long. It has been a seriously busy spring, moved into a really busy summer, and it looks to be a slightly busy winter, but I do want to get back into my bargain bead boxes. I've been slowly getting back with shorts. I have a lot of ideas about simple designs, which I find a lot of you appreciate. So a couple days ago, I got the Falling Leaves collection. Orange beads. I just love orange colors. I like wearing colors of fall. Fall is one of my favorite seasons. So I was so excited to see this in the mail. I think this is September's bead box. I don't think it's October's, because every month this comes in, unfortunately, quite late for me. So I think I'm usually about a month behind. I'm going to be playing with these beads today, and hopefully we can come up with some beautiful designs for fall. So without further ado, let's get into this video. So the first piece that we're going to be using today is the 30 by 22 millimeter green aventurine carved leaf pendant. This is a beautiful colored pendant, and you know me, I can never leave things alone. I'm not just going to put a chain through here and call it a day. I got to do something different. So we're also going to be using the 1 meter of 5 by 4 millimeter brass jewelry chain. I'm going to be using my very beat up hammer here that I use for my jewelry. On the flat side, it is slightly curved, so it's not completely flat. And on this side here, the back side is a ball. As you can see, this one here is, I've taped it up a few times. It keeps coming loose off the base here, but it does work like a charm. I'm also going to be using some wire. Now you can get copper wire. This is 18 gauge square copper wire. I'm also going to be using 14 gauge round copper wire. This is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be hammering a piece of wire. Now, I do have brass wire, but honestly, the copper wire with the brass looks pretty much the same. So I'm just going to deal with the copper wire. So this is a steel base that I use to hammer any of my wire or jewelry or anything that I like to do. You can get this type of thing in any craft store. Michael's is where I got this one from, and my last one, and I love it. I'm going to take my 14 gauge wire, and I'm going to cut approximately 3.5 to 4 inch piece. I'm going to do it this way with my pliers facing the end, because you want that to be flat. It's just easier to hammer out. It looks nicer as well. And I'm gonna clip this side too. So when you hammer it out, it looks much nicer. Now I'm just gonna make a slight curve, not much. I don't want too much of a curve here. That's what I want my piece to look like. It's good to use a pair of pliers with the nylon ends. And what I'm going to do today is very easy. It's not like wire weaving or anything like that. You don't need any special skills to hammer this. It's just a lot of fun. Okay, so we're going to go over to my station and I'm going to show you how to hammer this out. So I don't normally film over here because it is very loud here. So I've got my iPhone actually set up so you can see what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. The iPhone is on a separate tripod, so hopefully it won't shake this table. It shouldn't shake the table. I'm going to take my little base here, my steel plate base. I'm going to put it this way because this is kind of like how I'm standing there. I'm going to start hammering it, but I'm going to hammer from the middle out, okay? And you can make this wire as flat as you want it to be. You don't want it to be so flat that the ends are going to be sharp. But as you flatten it out and as you hammer it out, you're going to notice that it might change shape a little bit, which is fine. But as you hammer it out, it's going to get really, really stiff. And that's what I like about hammering wire, is that when you hammer the wire, it does stay in the place, like it stays in the shape that you're making, which makes it great for earrings, bracelets, and pendants. Okay, now the only other thing is just be careful, because if you hit your finger, it's going to hurt a lot. So I just go really slowly and carefully all the way to the end. And so that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to use this side first of my hammer. So you can stop at this point if you want to. I'm going to go a little bit further. I want it to be a little bit wider. So here's a comparison of what the wire looks like now and what it did look like. So now I'm going to do the other side. And try to hold the wire in place if you can. Like now that this one's flat, try to hold that like that, because it is going to want to twist a little bit. Again, watch your fingers. Now that I'm finished and I like the width of the wire, just check it over. Make sure, because I see right here, it's a little bit skinnier there than the rest of it. So I'm just going to hammer it out just a little bit more. Now we're going to use this side and texture this wire just a little bit. You can start anywhere in here, but wherever you start, make sure you just keep going to the end, or start here and go to the end. I don't want to over texture this wire. You'll make it weak and even sharp in places. So I'm just going to hammer. Just make a few in a spot and then move on and just keep going slightly and slowly all the way down. And don't hammer too hard. You don't have to like hammer it really hard. I'm just tapping it. So you'll see that I'm just tapping it. So it's not even really bending the back here. Okay, and that's what you want. And as you can see, the wire is starting to curve. Don't worry about that. We'll fix that later. Now I'm going to turn the wire around. And our wire is hammered, textured, and ready to go. Okay, so there's the finished hammered wire. Now as you can see, this side's gone a little bit wonky. So what I like to do is to put the wire on these pliers, these nylon pliers, put it right to the end, which will hold it, and then you just start to bend it in the shape that you want, ever so slowly. Like really, really slow. You don't want to break or kink the wire. There. I'm just going to make sure that it's as straight as it can be. As you can see by looking here, it is not completely straight, so I'm going to play with it a little bit so that it sits straight, because you want it to sit straight on the person that's going to wear it, like flat against their skin. Now, one thing you got to remember about this particular type of piece is that it's very organic. Like as you can see, the wire did not hammer out perfectly, and it never will completely be absolutely perfect. When you're hammering wire, this type of thing does happen, but that's the beauty of a piece like this, is that it is organic. Now it's pretty much straight. We're going to move on to the next step. So for the next step, I'm going to take my flat nose pliers. I'm going to take the very end, put it right at the very end of those pliers, so it sits like that. Okay, and then you're going to make a loop, keeping the plier. So I see I was out of frame for that one. We'll try again. All right, we're going to try again. To make the end loop, you want to put your pliers right at the very end of that wire, so nothing's coming through. Okay, and then we're just going to bend the plier. We're going to bend the wire around the plier. You don't even have to move the plier, you have to move the wire. You move the wire around the plier. Make sure that it touches the other end there. And if it doesn't, just take your pliers and push, take your pliers and just squeeze the end. And there you have the loops for your chain. This is a Cleaning Pro Polish pad. I get these also from Rio Grande. I'm just going to polish this piece quick. And look at how nice that comes out. I mean, it almost looks brass. The nice thing about copper is that it will antique eventually. Not right away, but it will antique eventually. And you just keep polishing it and it looks absolutely stunning. The only thing is you'd probably have to change your chain to something different because it won't match anymore. At least I don't know. I mean, maybe it would look good. I really don't know. I'll antique my pieces and then I'll use antique wire. So I've never used actual, you know, this type of wire with an antique piece. So it's interesting, you know, might even try that, see what it looks like. Now our piece is ready for the next step. So there we go. Now we're ready to add our little leaf pendant. So we're gonna have to use 22 gauge bare copper wire. So I'm gonna put that through. I'm just gonna use about maybe 3 inches on either side would be fine. And I'm gonna buff this one. Now you just take your wire and you just bend them up like that. And I'm a little bit off, that's okay. I'm gonna straighten this wire a little bit with my pliers here. So there's a couple of different things that you can do. You can bend the wires around your piece here if you want, or you can actually make a bail from this wire here and then just have it sit and it'll swing back and forth. So I think myself, I am going to actually attach it to the wire. I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to hold one side because you want to kind of eye it up, see where it's going to sit, where the middle part is. So I think that is pretty close. So I'm going to continue to hold this side here while I work with the other side. And you just bend it around like that. Okay, now you've got the one side on there. Now I'm going to hold this side. Again, we're going to make sure that it's sitting right in the middle. And we're going to bend that one around like that. Just bend this. However many times you want to go around here, because that actually looks really nice there. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, so now what I've done is I've done 6 loops, making sure that the wire is both facing up on this side and facing up on this side, on the front. You don't want this wire sitting on the back because that is going to bother the wearer. So what we're going to do is make a little twirly here. Alright, so I'm going to cut this longer one to match the shorter one here. I'm going to take a round nose set of pliers. And I think that actually might be a little bit too long. I'm going to trim these down a little bit more, maybe a couple of centimeters. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but pretty close. I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm just going to bring that wire around. Just take it at the end of your pliers and just loop it around. Play with it a little bit. There. And do the same thing to the other side, and just make sure you go in the opposite direction. Can be a little tricky. And there's your loops done. Just take my pliers and press that loop right into that wire. And I think that looks really, really original. Very different. So we're going to add a couple of jump rings to either side. I'm going to use one jump ring. These jump rings are actually quite thick. I think they are a 21 gauge jump ring. I bought an assortment of jump rings, so I'm not sure, but that's what it looks like. It looks like a 21 gauge jump ring, so that's pretty good. It's a pretty good jump ring, and these pliers are just not being nice to me anymore. I think it's time for a new set. So there's that side done. I'm just going to measure this and see how long I want it. Now to finish off the piece, they give us 3 sets of 20 by, I don't know if that's 26. They give us 20 by 26 millimeter toggle clasps. These are really cute. I love these things. I'm just going to go down the middle, measure the middle, and take that one link out of there. Jump ring. Remember, as always, to open your jump rings to the side. Put that on. And with this size of chain, you can use these bigger jump rings because you want a fairly big gauge jump ring. They're not going to open easy when you're wearing the necklace. If you look at one of my shorts, I show you how, one of my video shorts, I show you how to make your own jump rings with really tiny wire, because I have a hard time finding jump rings that are that small, and even if you can find jump rings that are that small, they're going to be very, very dainty, so you don't want to be tugging or pulling on your piece at all. And there we have our finished leaf pendant. And I think it's very unique, and it is very easy to do. Let's get on with the matching earrings. So we're going to use the same 14 gauge wire that we used with the pendant. Now for the earrings, you will need to measure for both because you want them to be exactly the same size. So I'm just going to cut maybe 2.5 inch piece. Cut the other side so it's flat. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to cut this side so it's flat. And I'm just going to measure it with the first one I cut. There. Now the length of the wire completely depends on you, how long you want the wire, and again, it's completely up to you. And I'm going to take this set of pliers. Now this set of pliers has a really big 3-tier sizes. Here I'm going to use the smallest one. You can get these pliers at any crafting store. And the nice thing about it is it has a flat piece on this here side, like on the opposite side. It has a nice flat piece, perfect for holding something in place. So I'm going to go to the middle approximately And I'm going to bend this around like that. I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other set, the other piece, the other wire. So now you've got two pieces shaped like that. Now we're going to go hammer those. Okay, now we're going to hammer our two pieces. And I'm going to start at the bottom here. And I'm going to kind of swipe it like that because I want this area to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to start out by hammering it first, and then I'm going to swipe out like this. So I've hammered everything. Now as you can see, I didn't hammer this side quite as much. I don't want to hammer that quite as much. Now I'm just going to texturize just the bottom here. So like I said before, you don't have to hammer really hard when you're texturizing, just slightly. So now I'm just going to buff that like I buff the pendant. Those look really pretty. So what we want to do is take the same pliers that we used before for the pendant, and we want to make little loops to the back. So I'm going to take my first one, and what I'm doing is I'm lining up the plier with the end of the wire, right at the end there. And I'm going to bend the wire around the plier. And do the same thing to the other side, like that. Now as you can see the back of the wire here. This is the front of the wire, the back of the wire came and is over here. Now we just want to take the plier and press it in. There. And they are hidden. You just want to look at the back here and make sure that these are tight. So I'm going to press that so it touches. I'm going to press that one so that it touches. There. And we are ready for our next step. Okay, now what we're going to do is cut two small pieces of copper wire. This is bare copper wire, and it's half round wire. I'm going to cut approximately 2 inches. I'm going to make them both the same, because with earrings, again, you want everything to be pretty much identical. I'm going to take that half round wire, and I'm going to place the wire, pretty much the pliers right in the middle of the wire. As close as I can get it anyway, and press up. And squeeze. Squeeze around those pliers. Now the reason I squeeze is it makes a little loop at the end. Take your wire, hold it tightly together, and what you're going to create is a little loop at the end of your bead. That way it doesn't fall out. This will never bend in and break or let your bead fall off. So in a way, you're kind of making a head pin. You're making your own head pin. So I'm going to take that wire close to the end of the bead, and we're going to go over, move your pliers so they're situated like that, bring it back over, move your pliers again so they're sitting upright, and then you're just going to make a couple of loops around, as many as you want. You can use a whole wire if you want to. That looks nice as well. I'm just going to go around once. I'm going to trim off the excess. I'm going to take that loop back in the set of wire, back in the pliers, and my flat nose pliers, and just press those down. And we're going to do the same exact thing to the other one. Now we have our beads ready. All right, so this is the earring we're going to be making with the base that we made and the bead that we just finished. And as per usual, I'm going to be using jump rings and an ear wire. This is a copper ear wire, so it matches perfectly with everything, okay? So what you're going to need is 2 small jump rings and 3 slightly larger jump rings. So we're going to start with the smaller jump rings. And they are very tiny, so just be, just be patient. You can flip out of your hand and go anywhere. They're that tiny. Excuse my furnace. It is cold up here, like it's snowing and winter already. We haven't even hit Halloween yet. Okay, so I'm putting the first jump ring through the first loop, through one of the loops there. I'm going to close it. And I take the other one, open it up, put it through the other loop. So the first 2 are on there. I'm going to take one of the slightly larger rings. We're going to go through, I'm going to pull it through the smaller jump ring. It can be a little tricky because my pliers are magnetized, so that magnetizes everything. And now we're going to add the last jump ring. Don't forget to add your bead. Add it to the 2 jump rings that are already on your base. And now we're going to add the final part, our ear wire. And there we have a very cute, stylish set pendant earrings. Wonderful for fall. And these are some of the beads from the Falling Leaves collection. So get your hammers out and give it a try. Let me know how you like it. So there you have it, the finished creation. Oh my goodness, I am loving this so much. I'm gonna wear it today. I'm actually heading into the city. I wasn't gonna wear this, but I love it so much. So I'm gonna wear it today. And I did use a little more of that chain that we got in the collection and just made another little piece for up here just to kind of fill in the gap. I like a little more real estate used up with my jewelry, so I like to layer pieces. There is the earrings, and again, nice. They're not heavy. I don't like heavy earrings on the ear. You know that if you've been watching my channel long enough. And I think they match each other really nice. This was my creation today with the slightly larger pendant, still dainty, but slightly larger, with just the small little aventurine matching beads and then a hammered piece here. I hope you enjoyed the video. Yes, I did a little bit of hammering in there, but I wanted to show you like how easy it is to create something like this with the hammered wire look. I just love it. I love this type of thing. Brings just the beauty to a simple little pendant like this. And you know me, like I said in the video, I can't leave stuff like this alone. I've got to add my own twists to absolutely everything. So again, I hope you enjoyed the video. I really hope that you try these pieces because they are very easy once you get into it. You know, doing this type of thing, hammering on the wire and polishing, I find that a lot of fun and very creative with wire. Wire and beads together, beautiful. So don't forget to look for more videos coming up from the Falling Leaves collection from Bargain Bead Box. I will be doing more. There's a lot more to be done with this collection. So I am going to be doing more. But for now, you guys have a great day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.